morning. It is Tuesday, October 6th. And what I'm going to cover in these next few videos is just how my training is evolving. And the only reason why that is important is if you share some of the things that I've been through this year. And briefly, in October, about this little bit later than this time last year, a week or two, I went to South Africa and competed in the IPF Equipped Masters Worlds. And it was very arduous and stressful, but I was lucky enough to come away with the win. The IPF had changed the schedule and was going to compete earlier in the year, so it was only going to be a 6-month turnaround, and it was going to fall really close to what was going to be Raw Worlds and some of the other things that we had going on. May is traditionally Beast of the Bluegrass, and the guys were training for that. We had so many things going on, and they were going back to South Africa, and I'm sure Sun City is a nice place, but just the expense and the timing and my priorities and responsibilities, I ultimately passed on it. And that led to a little bit of letdown, because I really felt like I had good momentum to where I could make a run, maybe for the next year or two and have a shot at winning another IPF title. But nonetheless, I passed on it, and then of course COVID hit and all the things that transpired, and I had an injury. I was doing some side work during the stay-at-home orders, and it was an off day. Was working on a bathtub, just bent over it. I guess I got awkward. I don't honestly know, and hurt my back. And for about 4 weeks, I couldn't squat or deadlift, and benching was pretty excruciating. There was about a 2-week period I didn't do anything. And it was the longest layoff that I've had of my entire powerlifting career. It's been occasionally, and obviously in the latter part of my career, that I've taken 5-6 days off for a vacation. But many times, for example, Melissa and I will get 2, sometimes 3 sessions in if we're gone. So anyway, after that little bit of a layoff and some light training, I decided to test to kind of see where I was. And the long and short of it is the results were not very good. And I knew if I was going to be strong again for an old guy, I was going to have to, put some time in and kind of reboot and, take it slow. So I did a 16-week cycle where basically I would do the main movement and then an assistance movement. And I really didn't do any assistance, just trying to get the form back together, just get myself back together and heal and recuperate and live through this pandemic. And my test results were good. I tested out in bench at 170 at the start of this training cycle and tested out at 185. I've been benching now for a couple of years out of a power rack with the Rogue monolift hooks, and that saves me from needing a handoff. In the morning, it can be, depending on timing and everything, getting a handoff, especially with other people, trying to train, get in and get out. It can be difficult to get a handoff, and that just seemed to make things run smoother. So anyway, that test result went well. We decided to use 500 for my squat and deadlift. I tested my deadlift and had missed 545 a couple of times. Just had that no low end energy, that low gear that you got to have to deadlift 600 pounds. And so we did them both at 500, and I tested out at 551 on the squat and 562 on the deadlift respectively. And I had a little bit left in the tank on all 3 lifts, but there's no meets, there's nothing I'm training for, and so I started another training cycle, and I'm about into completing week 2, and today, And what I'm going to do in the next corresponding videos is just talk about what I'm changing, what I'm adding, and why it's important, you know. And so if you're coming back from injury, the big thing that I want to encourage you, it's not really respective to age, it's just sometimes the things that you have to do. Always try to find a way to train around it. If the shoulder is sore and you can't bench press, but you can incline press, or you can overhead press, or you can use a machine, I always encourage you to find a way to get some work in. And you know, that's been my motto, and it has served me well. I understand there's times where you just simply, you know, the injury doesn't allow you to train, and I understand that, but I'm always going to push, you know, to get something in. Something's going to be better than nothing, you know, as long as it's not contributing to the issue. So it took 16 weeks to get from that point. So basically a 375 bench, a 1375 total, if you will, to whatever it is now, 551, 562, you know, so, and a 407 bench, you know. And I was really pleased with the 407 bench. I was actually very surprised by that. So stay in the course. And what I'm going to do in this next training cycle, and I'll cover this, I'm going to do each individual lift, that way these aren't so long-winded. I'll cover what I'm doing differently, what I've added, and why. All right, thanks for following.